All right, what's happening, everybody? I'm your man Akeem, and welcome to the Sports News Insider Fantasy Football Blog. We are in week 3 of the NFL season, and it's time for me to give you my fantasy picks on who you should start and sit for week 3 of the NFL season. Now, I'm going to start with the New Orleans matchup in which the Saints host the Houston Texans. Now, for the Texans, some people are still concerned about Arian Foster. He is still dealing with a hamstring injury, so Ben Tate is going to have the bulk of the carries. Arian Foster is going to play in this game, but Ben Tate is going to be that starting running back, and I believe that you should start Ben Tate this week against the New Orleans Saints on run defense. I think he's going to do pretty well. Plus, he's been carrying the load pretty well without Arian Foster at that running back position for the Texans. He's a good running back, and I think you should definitely start him this week. Now, as far as New Orleans, you should still start Drew Brees as your starting quarterback. I know the Houston Texans, they've been doing pretty well in the pass defense. They're actually topping the league in the pass defense area, and I think that could cause some problems for Drew Brees, but Drew Brees should still produce some good numbers. And look for Devery Henderson and Robert Meacham to rack up some points, a little bit of points for your fantasy players out there. Definitely start Devery Henderson if you had to pick between the two, but Robert Meacham is a good start as well. So definitely look out for all those players. Next game to look at, the Giants are going to Philly to face the Eagles. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Now, the Giants defense had a stellar performance last week against the St. Louis Rams, and it might cause some problems for the offense for Philly, especially with Michael Vick last week suffering a concussion last week, but he is still going to play. He's going to start for this game. He was registered to play. He had the okay from the doctors and from the team, and he's going to start for this game. Now, you might get a little bit of a scare because the Giants defense did do well last week, and some people are still not really feeling too good about Vic's health, but he's still able to start. You should still definitely start him. But if you're concerned about Vic, a good quarterback, if you do have him to start for this week, is Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills are facing the New England Patriots, and the Patriots still have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. This should be a high-scoring game for Tom Brady and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and this should be a big game at that. I think at least 30 points per team. So for some advice, some people have Patriots defense like myself as their top 10 defenses. I think you should sit them this week, and just because Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Buffalo Bills have been performing well. Plus, you should still start Freddie Jackson at the running back position. He's a good receiving running back, also as a good runner as well. He's a good downhill runner, and plus he has good hands, and he could definitely reach to that end zone. I told you guys about Freddie Jackson. The kid can play. Trust me, the kid can play, and obviously he has proven me correct and proven you guys correct. So he's a good player, and this is going to be an interesting matchup, but I think you should bench the Patriots defense only because the Buffalo Bills are high flying. They're doing pretty well passing and having a good all-around offense. Next game to look at, San Francisco is going to be going to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Now, for a defense to replace the New England Patriots, you might want to consider San Francisco because they have the #1 rush defense team in the league. Now, Cedric Benson is a good running back, but facing the #1 rush defense, plus he's dealing with a 3-game suspension. He's still expected to play in this game and start for this game, but he's dealing with the 3-game suspension due to personal conduct policy that he violated in the during the offseason for his off-field incidents during the lockout, and that caused some problems, and he's going to appeal that 3-game suspension. But a player that you should start this week is AJ Green, the receiver from the Bengals. Now, the reason why I think so is because he's building great chemistry with quarterback Andy Dalton. They're getting a little bit better in the passing and receiving game. Also, Jerome Simpson, he's a good receiver, but Marvin Lewis might not have him active for this game, only because rumors has it is that he broke team rules and league rules because he was allegedly accused of receiving marijuana at his Kentucky home, and he might not play this week. So AJ Green is definitely going to get that main target, going to be that top target for Andy Dalton. So definitely start AJ Green for this game. Next game to really look at for me in particular, Denver's going to be going to Tennessee to face the Titans. Denver has a terrible rush defense. So, Chris Johnson, I'm calling you out. we really need you to step up this week. I have Chris Johnson. That's my running back for my personal fantasy league. He's not doing too well, but my team is doing great, but he's not doing too well. But Chris Johnson, I'm calling you out. You need to step up this week, so definitely start Chris Johnson for this week. Next game to look at, Kansas City's going to go to San Diego to face the Chargers. Ryan Matthews, he's developing to become a good all-around running back, receiving and rushing. He had a big game last week. He got me. I have Ryan Matthews as my running back. He got me 18 points. He's a good, reliable running back, and he's developing to be a good premier running back in the NFL. But we will see. Now, a good defense that you might want to start. I mentioned the Patriots defense, sitting them down. Another defense that you might want to consider is the Arizona Cardinals. They're facing the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks does not have an offense. They have the worst offense in the NFL. Under 200 yards of total offense. I think the Arizona defense, they can rack up some points in this matchup. So definitely start them. Now, a player that you might want to look at in this game, Beanie Wells. I mentioned him before. He's doing pretty good. He's averaging 15 points per game. He's a good, reliable running back, and I think he's going to do well against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the last game I want to talk about, well, actually I have another game to talk about. Miami's going to be playing at Cleveland. Now, one person in particular I need to talk about is Reggie Bush. Some people have him as their starting running back, but I think you should sit him only because he is not a good downhill runner. He's not a good runner in between the blocking, in between the holes. He's more of a dancing running back, and you cannot dance in the line of scrimmage and in the holes. You need to just be a good downhill runner. Plus, Daniel Thomas is averaging over 5 yards a carry. He's doing pretty good, and I think Daniel Thomas is going to get more opportunities to get a chance to touch the football and run downhill and be a good productive back for the Miami Dolphins. Reggie Bush, I think you should send him. He's too much of a dancer, and I think because of that, Coach Soprano is going to bench him for not giving so many carries. So I don't think Reggie Bush should be your starter at running back. Next game to look at, Carolina's going to be hosting Jacksonville. Cam Newton has been doing great. 400 yards for his first 2 games as an NFL starting quarterback. He's been doing great, posting up some good points fantasy football wise. If you have him and you're not really confident in your starting quarterback, you could start him. Also, Steve Smith, he had 334 yards receiving. Definitely start Steve Smith. Now, one game in particular that I received a lot of questions about it's the Dallas game when they're hosting the Washington Redskins. Tony Romo had to deal with a rib injury. He's still day-to-day. He might not start for this game. But a quarterback I really need to talk about is Rex Grossman. Some people ask me, should they start him this week? I am not really sold on the Washington Redskins and Rex Grossman just yet. You really need to pay attention to this game. Dallas has a decent defense, and if Grossman does well in this game, then maybe you should start on Rex Grossman and other Washington Redskins offensive weapons in the future. I'm still not convinced. I'm still not bought on this team, and it really depends on this game. So everybody should definitely keep an eye on this game, and this game will probably tell us whether to start Rex Grossman or bench him later in the season for the future. But we will see. Now, I'm going to catch you guys next week and give you my Week 4 picks, my Week 4 selections, sit-downs, and start players that you should start for Week 4 in the NFL season. Thank you for watching today's vlog. From Sports News Insider, I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.